Most people do not make a plan for their life. They don't know what they want. They don't know where they're going. Dude, I ask a person, what do you have planned for next week? They don't know what they're doing today, right? So how are you supposed to move in life with intention if you're moving like an accident? It's not going to work. Brother, business, life is like archery. That's what I compare it to. If you have no goal, you have no target, there's nothing to hit.
Without a goal, you can't score.
That's the first part. The second part is you need to have a tool. You need to have a bow. You need to have an arrow in order to hit your target.
Right.
The next thing is you have to aim. It requires preparation. You need to understand the spacing, the distance, the humidity, the temperature, all these variables in order to what?
Factors, yeah.
Hit the target.
Hit the target.
And then finally, you have to what? Shoot. Let go. Shoot. You have to take action. Most people have no goal. They don't know where they're going. They haven't calculated or measured what it's going to take to achieve the bullseye.
Yeah.
And they don't take action. So in life, if you want to achieve a bullseye, you have to be willing to set a target. You have to be willing to aim, prepare, understand the nature of what you're about to do, and you have to shoot. You have to take action. And with enough iteration, eventually you'll get good enough to hit the bullseye. And that, my friend, is a secret to success. I think the most important thing is to become the best version of yourself, to become and achieve your fullest potential. So many people limit themselves based off of what somebody else has told them they are, based off of the limitations of their parents, their teachers, their education, the system. But you can truly become whoever you want to be. And I wanted to push this message of hope. And I wanted to push this message of, if you work hard, if you are consistent, and if you dedicate yourself to a worthy ideal, you can become whoever you want to become.
Yeah.
And I've gotten messages from thousands of people all around the world who are truly changing their lives, whether developing better physiques, whether making more money, whether reconnecting with their partner and having better relationships. And it's being an example to people. An example doesn't mean you need to be perfect. And that's something that I'm really clear about. I'll show my flaws. I say some crazy shit. I do some crazy shit, but I'm me. And through that authenticity, it resonates with people, and people resonate with truth, right? People resonate with truth.
Of course, yeah.
So when you understand something to be true, when you know the truth and you resonate with it, you don't have to kind of convince somebody into your lifestyle. They see it and then
they like it.
They like it and then they fuck with it. They resonate with it and then they adopt it for themselves. And that's kind of what I always tell people. Hey, don't judge my words. Don't judge my actions. Don't even judge my lifestyle. Just test it out. Just test out going to the gym a couple times a week. Just test out having a whole foods diet. Just test out building a business online. Just test out actually investing and going to networking events. Go and build relationships. Go find mentors and see if it works for you. And if it doesn't, perfect. You can then go back to your 9 to 5. You can then go back to university.
Well, at least you tried it.
These things will be there. But the last thing you want is to live with the what if and never have actually pulled the trigger because, somebody told you out there how something was supposed to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been working out very well.
So before you came online, were you always this guy of trying to be the best version of yourself?
No, not at all. Not at all. So my journey started in Argentina. Grew up there.
Yeah.
At the age of 16. Went to the United States with $200 in a suitcase.
By yourself or?
Well, my uncle was a pilot.
Okay.
And he actually got me a seat in what's called the jump seat, which is where the flight attendants sit.
Yeah, it sounds like you're about to jump out of a plane.
Well, the thing is, you basically can get free travel and things like that when you work for an airline.
Yep.
So I had my free flight. From there, worked all sorts of odd jobs, from pressure washing basketball courts to cleaning toilets. Eventually went to a couple universities, dropped out. University really wasn't for me. I wanted to start a business, went and tried learning international business. And I tell people, my international business professor had never been overseas. So it's like, okay, when you start evaluating what's important when it comes to building relationships with people from different cultures, different languages, different backgrounds, there's more to it than a textbook.
Yeah.
So I was like, why am I sitting down with this dude that is in learning from him? Sure, he can teach me macroeconomics, microeconomics. He can teach me finance. He can teach me tax. All these things, I get it, completely understand it. But I can also learn that on YouTube for free.
Yeah.
So I wanted to learn from somebody who had experience. Started moving all over the world. 6 months out of the year, I spend in hotel rooms. I've been to 60 countries. I'm 28, right?
Yeah, damn.
So I'm in a situation right now where I actually have been becoming an online entrepreneur. So I invest in companies all over the world, whether it's in Singapore, whether it's in Malaysia, whether it's in the UK, whether it's in the US. My portfolio is very vast, and that perspective would have not been achieved had I not been able to break free from the illusion of, hey, I have to go learn from a specific person who doesn't have the actual experience. They just have
a degree, which
Yeah.
doesn't mean much when it comes to business.
Not at all. Yeah.
I spent, in fact, it was about 8 to 12 months sitting around a fire. Literally, it was my job to sit around the fire and we were just masterminding. I would bring different people into my house. I would come spend a few weeks with us and we would literally sit down and mastermind. I didn't make money for that period of time. We were making, 100, 200K a month, light work, but I spent my entire time developing how to think. And what I realized is with drop shipping specifically, is that in order for you to have a winning niche, you need a couple things. The first one is an evergreen ecosystem, your ability to continuously sell in perpetuity.
Okay.
The second thing is you need a big enough audience.
Okay.
So your pool of customers, if you're trying to scale to $1 million a day, you can't have a $200,000 person audience.
You need a big market.
You need a big market.
Target the masses.
So that's why I was like, okay, let me sell household products because every
Everyone
person is going to need this in perpetuity, always and forever.
100%.
And then finally, I was like, I need to make sure, because a lot of people drop ship and they try to finesse Facebook. I'm like, dude, I'm not in the business of finessing Facebook. I want to have a good relationship with Facebook.
Yeah.
They are giving me the ability to advertise. I want a good relationship.
Yeah, you can't bite the hand that feeds you.
Exactly. So I built good relationships with reps. I had good ad credits. And what I came to realize is I can actually still succeed and follow their terms and conditions. So when COVID rolled around, which was our first kind of like $1 million day, was
$1 million in a day.
light work. I've done $5 million in a day. Profit. It's nothing, bro. What you're looking at here, Dubai, what I'm doing is pennies, dude. You look in Dubai, these printing $1 billion a day. So when all these kids on the internet, they're like, oh, $5 million, there's no way. Dude, you have no idea the level of wealth there is out there and your pee-wee brain can't get it. It's okay. So $5 million is chump change. I see it as a stepping stone to what we're going to be doing in the future. So a lot of people are like, oh, $5 million, show the receipts. Bro, out here doing $1 billion a day.
And the receipts are there because they've seen your projects.
Oh yeah, you can see the projects. You can literally go on my highlights where I'm literally telling my to literally buy every single thing that I bought. I told people to literally buy Bored Ape Yacht Club at 4 ETH, where I was literally buying them up. People didn't listen. I told people to cash out of crypto at $4,000 in ETH. I sold all my ETH at $3,950. Every single penny of it. I have order blocks on my Binance that show $1 million to $2 million sales at that price.
Most people were greedy at the time. They wanted to hold for more.
Most people are gambling. Most people don't understand that the goal is to accumulate wins. It's compounding wins that matter. It's not this idea of
one big massive
big win, dude. I'm in the business of big wins now, but when I started off, I wasn't in the business of a big win. I needed consecutive wins. Why? I needed to build up my self-esteem. I needed to build up my dubs, and I needed to build up the confidence that I could actually do bigger deals.
Yeah.
Somebody's paying for the $8,000 penthouse up top.
Yeah.
What's the mindset? What's the perspective? Is it worth it? I don't know. If you're making $100 million a year net profit, you won't really budge an eye. So it's the belief of how to get to the next level in the game, how to get to the next level in your health, how to get to the next level in your relationships, how to get to the next level as an owner of a business, how to make more money, all these things. You make $1 million a year. It's dope. But there's a guy making 10.
Yeah, that's a lot.
There's a guy making 100. And it's a different mindset that takes you from A to B and from B to C. And it's shifting those mindsets and always being grateful, but never being content.
Yeah.
And content doesn't mean that you're always selfish and desiring for more. It's saying, hey, there's more potential.
There's more levels to this life.
There's more levels to the game.
Yeah.
And that's always the example that I use is you're in a hotel situation. You're staying in a nice hotel. Well, there's somebody staying in the suite up top. And that's somebody that has a different mindset than you. And what I've come to realize in the education system is that they teach you how to think like a slave. That's a big one. They teach you how to think like a slave, scarcity mindset, 9 to 5 employee. You clock in, second grade. What's your dream job? That's what they ask you. What do you mean, what's my dream job?
I'm 5 years old.
What do you mean? What do I want to, okay, what are you going to say? An astronaut? You're going to think about the craziest thing because you have dreams and ambitions.
And then they want to crush it.
But somewhere along the line, that gets decimated.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, not everybody's going to be an astronaut, but the perspective still stands, which is the programming and the education that the peasant receives is very different than the one that the king receives.
Yeah.
That's why you won't see the elites going to public school, because the public school is based off of the Prussian school system, which was a school system designed in the industrial area to create workers. That's why you have the bell go off that gives you access to recess, or the bell goes off and gives you access to the break time. And then you have to go down the corridor in a single line You go down the fluorescent lights and the cement walls, and you have to go to the cafeteria and you have to raise your hand to ask a question, and you better not question the authority, and you don't even know who the authority is.
Yeah.
And then you have to get a hall pass to go to the bathroom, and hopefully the hall monitor doesn't stop you along the way, because, well, then you're going to be in trouble. So from the moment you're born, you're put into a system that everything is, I have to bow down to authority, even though I don't know if the authority is right. I can't question the authority.
Yeah.
And
There's
bell,
no choice.
the bell has to go off in order for me to be able to be validated from doing A to B, from B to C.
Yeah.
All of this is programming. And from the ages 0 to 7, it's called the theta state. And it's the years of programming. That's when they want to get you, because that's going to determine a lot of how you're going to live the rest of your life. So it's all this deep programming that people need to start being aware of and snapping out of this and glitching out of the matrix.
What are a few of these skills that always keep you rich? Your ability to sell.
Yeah.
If you know how to sell,
important thing.
you'll be rich every day because you can make money.
Yeah. You can be in the desert. You'll take anything.
Your ability to network,
Yeah.
your ability to be
connections.
in the room, and your understanding of current market trends and current market conditions. Understanding what is the current framework of the world. Because a lot of people look at a framework, the framework stops working, right? Or the ecosystem kind of that they built doesn't function anymore in the current world.
Yeah.
They get frustrated.
Yeah.
And they want to go do something else instead of taking what they are already doing, kind of like a football match. If you look at Argentina and France,
Yeah.
the final, shout out Argentina.
Where are you from?
Halfway through their strategy, right? Or halfway through the game, they had to adapt the strategy
100%. Yeah.
because they realized, oh shit, the French caught on to a little bit of what we were doing. We got to replace some players.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes what you got to do in your organization. You got to recalibrate, you got to rethink, not throw the entire thing out, not let me go start something new.
No.
Find those multidisciplinary skills
Yeah.
that you're good at.
Yeah.
Harness those and then just develop.
What do you think about a gold standard?
I mean, how much gold is there in the world?
It's limited supply.
Who told you that?
Well,
That's it.
yeah. Sorry, my philosophy, on that as well. It's that it's harder to mine to get to the extracts, basically. To discover more.
Sure. It requires energy, right? It requires energy. So the value of the gold is correlated to the difficulty and the energy that it requires in order to get it. But how much is there, right? What's telling you that they're not stockpiling this motherfucker up and just controlling and manipulating the prices? JP Morgan, $2 billion in fines and lawsuits from manipulating the gold market.
And Credit Suisse.
It's fucked. It's fucked.
And everything that's being Credit Suisse, UBS in Switzerland. How do you action this information? So you notice you're a part of this system. You're already in the system.
You stop working for money.
So let's
You start working for purpose, and you start working to create income producing ecosystems. So if you're working and exchanging time, which is the most valuable resource that you have for an imaginary piece of money that anybody can make or anybody can print out of it. Imagine being so stupid that somebody's out there printing money. Somebody's printing money, and on the counter, you're working for it, and then you're getting taxed because they need your taxes in order to run the government when they could just print it. It makes no sense whatsoever. So stop working for money. Stop working for a paycheck. Start working towards a life that instills freedom and instills your ability to produce money without you having to work. Now, that may sound like insane for 99% of people. So where do you start? You start by not spending, right? You start by not being a consumer, but being a producer. So most people are consumers. That's why they're always in the rat race. If you're producing, you're always being able to generate income, but you don't want to be producing just with your time. You want to be producing with systems. Now you have AI, now you have automation, now you have software. Dude, you can literally be making money while you sleep. And if you think that's not real, look at all the digital companies that are running. They're making money while the owners are sleeping.
One, I think, limitation that people have sometimes when they start making money, they just end up blowing it, right? But you've really focused on that multiplication, the systems, the processes, which I've been trying to stay very abide by. Why do you think people are get caught at that threshold? And like, what are the ways you've been looking at scaling digital businesses so that you're able to continue growing?
So most people, let's say they have $100,000 in the bank account. They want to show off that they have $100,000 in the bank account. People that have $1 million in the bank account, they want to show off that they got $1 million. I don't want to show off. I don't give a fuck. I know what I have. I know what I'm worth. I know what my companies are worth. I know what my companies produce. I don't have to show it to anybody. I don't have to prove it to anybody. I just have to continue operating and understanding that I don't want to spend the initial capital that required time. Because I tell people, you don't buy things. Listen to me. You don't buy things with money. You buy things with the amount of time that it takes you to get that money. So for example, and I say it quite often, if you and I were to walk into a Louis Vuitton store with somebody that works at a McDonald's, they would look at that $500 wallet a lot more expensive than you and I would. Why? Because they think, oh, wow, $500? That took me how many hours of work?
A week.
Wow, that's expensive. For us, oh, well, you just make a couple bucks here and there, have it in some sort of automation. You don't value the $500 because it didn't take you a lot of time. So what you need to do is safeguard your time and understand that the time that you input is designed to liberate you, not for you to spend it liberating another person.
How do you build those systems? So you focus on e-commerce, but you've done other stuff now with Capital Club. What's your philosophy, first principle philosophy of how you're building out systems that are generating you revenue long into the future?
So there's two things that you need to focus on in business. There's income producing tasks and risk mitigation tasks. So your risk mitigation tasks in business are your customer service representatives, your accounting, your budgeting, things that you can actually delegate or offsource or onboard somebody to take on. Then you have your income producing tasks, right? These are your sales. This is your marketing, the hands-on that actually generates money. Your goal is to, as soon as possible, anytime, whether you're reselling sneakers or whether you run a Forbes 500 company, your job is to not do the things that somebody else can do for you, right? So if you're flipping sneakers, go have a runner. Oh yeah, but I won't make as much money. Yeah, but you get to save time.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but why don't you value your time? Because you're not doing anything productive with that time. I get to hang out with the people that I love. I get to go out and go for walks. I get to biohack. I get to travel, and I'll pay somebody or give them a slice of the pie so that I don't have to do it. So as soon as you get started in your entrepreneurial journey, the first thing you need to do is start onboarding people that can take care of these risk mitigation tasks. Like, why are you answering customer service emails when you can hire somebody from the Philippines for $350, $400 a month, which is a good salary there, base entry level salary, to do it for you. They'll be happy, they'll be chilling, and now you have time to focus on what? Income producing tasks. And not even going deep into systems and operations, that's the first part. The second part is your KPIs, your key performance indicators, right? You need to know where you're going. Like, what's your objective? Most people want a fancy business in order to make money. Most people would say, oh, I'm going to build the next Uber. Dude, if your goal is to make money, you don't necessarily have to be a business owner. You don't have to be an entrepreneur to make money. If your goal is to become free, then why are you going to build a SaaS business that has tens of investors that you have to pick up the phone and be accountable to?
Yeah.
That's not freedom.
100%.
That's not freedom. And we see it rinse and repeat. I'll give you an example, which was a crazy one. Loom. Do you know the company Loom?
Yeah.
They're the
Always
screen
use them.
recording company.
They just sold, right?
They just sold. And everybody's like, oh, they sold for $950 million. Go look at the faces of the founders and go look at the tweets that they were putting out, because they raised a ton of money. They didn't own a massive percentage of their company, and they slaved their motherfucking lives away for what? A couple $1 million paycheck. A lot of them said it wasn't worth it.
Who's your mentors, or who are the mentors you've had in the past that have had the biggest effect on you?
I have two. One that is no longer alive, and then one that is still alive. One that is no longer alive, Leonardo da Vinci. I studied da Vinci a lot because at his time, he was considered a crazy man. Now we revere him as a genius, but he was a polymath. That means he was a man of many skills. So he was a mathematician, he was an engineer, he was an artist, he was a sculptor, he was a businessman. He was actually a freelancer. People see all the paintings and the things that he was doing. He didn't do that for free. He was getting paid to do those things. But at the time, he was considered a freak by many people. You look at, for example, the painting of the Last Supper, right? It was actually painted in a church or in a building. It was a commissioned piece of work. It wasn't painted, for his goodwill. And that ended up turning into a stable, like where they would put horses. So this piece of art that we revere as a massive
part of humanity in the arts. And it was once, the graffiti of a stable. And it's absolutely crazy to think about. But at the time, he was misunderstood. So I studied Da Vinci. Da Vinci has this incredible quote. He says, it's a famous quote. He says, to develop a complete mind, study let me say it again. When I think of Da Vinci, it's just fucking crazy. But anyways, Da Vinci famously said, to develop a complete mind, study the science of art, study the art of science, learn how to see, realize that everything connects to everything else. What does this mean? This means that he understood that he could study art in a scientific way, and he could study science in an artistic way. And that what he was told reality wasn't the way that it was. Maybe we perceive reality by the constructs that we've been given and not for what reality actually is. If you want to develop a complete mind, you need to develop multiple aspects of your life. That's why the same thing with your mastermind. You went and you developed a more complete mind because you learn from people, from aspects that you'd never even recognize were reality. Learn how to see, realize that everything connects to everything else. Mm-hmm. So how you do fitness is how you do business. How you take care of your girl is how you're going to take care of your customers. How you're honest with yourself is how you're going to be honest with others. Everything connects to everything else. So Leonardo da Vinci, massive inspiration, mentor to me. The second one is an OG digital marketer. He's no longer kind of like on the pinnacle, but his name's Jay Abraham. He was doing $1 million masterminds back in the 90s when it was like actually like balling. He was doing like $1 million days. He's a digital marketer, probably like a pioneer of business. Those would be the two guys that I would revere at the top of my list.
Was he someone who you were actively speaking to or just learning?
Yeah, so I was a big fan of his work, and then I got introduced to him and I speak to him on a weekly basis. He's like a top dog.
You pay for that?
No, free.
Okay.
Yeah, relationships, brother.
Nice.
We want to talk about now about happiness for a bit. I know that you're a very happy person and you've always been happy. Do you think happiness is something that you can kind of because I've talked to some people and they tell me that happiness is just a byproduct of growth. Is happiness something that you can like target, is happiness something that you can index for and aim to have, or is it just something that happens along the way? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I would say let's talk about the physical and the metaphysical. Okay. So let's talk about the physical. You can biochemically become happy. There's a chemical in your body known as serotonin. It's known as the happy chemical. Most of the serotonin in your body is produced here in your gut. So when you hear things like people saying, trust your gut, they don't stop to think, what does that mean to trust your gut? Your gut operates as a brain, right? So the serotonin that's formed inside of your gut is produced by having a healthy gut. How do you have a healthy gut?
Diet.
By having a healthy diet.
Nutrition.
So most of the serotonin is produced in the gut that produces happiness by what? Having a healthy diet.
Yeah.
So most of you guys would automatically be a lot healthier and happier had you instilled the ability of having a good diet equating to what? A good gut. That is on the physical side. On the metaphysical side is understanding the beauty and the privilege of the struggle of life. Understanding that you're not here to be happy. You're here to live life. You're here to experience suffering. You're here to experience tribulation.
Yeah.
You're here to hurt. You're here to experience heartbreak, pain, joy, pleasure. Every single avenue, every single emotion. Why would you limit yourself from experiencing that? Why? Because you're scared. You're afraid. You don't know how it's going to work out. It doesn't feel good. Perfectly fine. But I've come to understand, I've come to realize that the beauty of life isn't in pursuing happiness. It's in pursuing experiences. And it's understanding that it's multidisciplinary, it's multilateral. It's not just one emotion. So I'm not in the business of pursuing happiness. I'm in the business of pursuing life. And life comes in different forms at different seasons.
You just have to enjoy it all. Live
all of it,
ups
dude.
And downs.
You just that's why the Bible says, bear all things with joy. What does that mean? Is that anything that comes your way, bear it with joy. Be happy. Be glad.
Be grateful.
Be grateful.
It could be a lot
Be
worse.
great. You could not be alive. You could be dead. It could be a lot worse. You could be in a shitty situation. Most of the complaints and bullshit that I hear from people is, oh, dude, I'm making 5K a month. Life sucks. Dude, let me take you to Somalia, where these guys are literally having to scavenge, having to pirate, having to do all this bullshit. Let me take you to Southeast Asia, where these working for $1 a day. Let me take you to the lithium mines in Africa.
No, some of the kids in Africa, I met them. They have
100%.
nothing, but they're happier than me and you combined.
100%.
Because you know why? Their baseline, we have these big expectations of what we need to be happy. And for them, a simple broken or like, let's say, not inflated football is like the biggest blessing. They look at that football and they're like, wow, this is like so much fun. And they just need simple things, the simple things like sitting down with their friends. That's all. That's what their life is.
I've come to realize that a lot of unhappiness.
We have too much desires.
A lot of unhappiness comes from complicating things, complicating life, the simplicity of life. For some reason, bro, humans are like the only species that are like up and out of sync. If you look at every other animal, they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
We're the only ones out here buying fucking designers, spending all our money on this shit, trying to impress people, like our lives, buying 30 homes, like trying to do, bro. Like live your life, relax a little bit, dude. You have nothing to prove. No company that you build today is going to last. Nothing that you put out is going to live forever. No money that you have is going to be around forever.
You don't own anything.
Dude, you
just
don't
happen to
own
die.
shit. So when people come to me with all this fear and this anxiety of not having or not having accomplished, is somehow they have no understanding of the finite nature of life, dude. You're here today, you're gone tomorrow. Make some impact, leave the world better than you left it, than you found it. Make sure that you love God, put others first. And it's a good way to start.
Yeah.
I would ask you, Luke, is the best way to make money right now to make content, build personal brand, and then like kind of like try to sell stuff off that? Or is it better to like focus on drop shipping or crypto or, you know?
Yeah, it depends. So back to the original question is why is it that I've been able to build a massive community? It's because people resonate with the message. They resonate with the message of going from nothing and being able to build something. And people watch you online. So naturally, you're going to look for answers on the internet, just like I did. I think today there's massive levels of opportunity. The first one is the crypto space. I think the crypto space is a massive asymmetrical bet over the next couple of years. You see hundreds of projects emerge every single month, but they lack marketing. They lack understanding of social media. I mean, you run a massive agency with hundreds and hundreds of influencers inside of your network. Anybody can just call you, and a couple calls that you make, you can give them access to the best in the world. You couldn't do that if social media didn't exist. You've been able to build a massive network because of that. Just like that, I've been able to monetize my personal brand. My personal brand is like a digital resume. So whether you create content or whether you have a phenomenal brand that happens to be on the internet, people are always looking. And what I love about the internet is that people talk about the internet as a fad, but in reality, where do we spend most of our time? We spend most of the time on our phone and on social media. So instead of trying to bring people into somewhere where they're not, I go to where they are. And that is the internet. So I think building a personal brand or having your company on the internet is phenomenal. Let's say you have a regular business, plumbing business, you're an electrician, you're a car salesman. You should have a social presence. It doesn't mean you have to be making podcasts and content every single day, but why aren't you going to go where people are? If you have a business and you're not on Google, what are you doing? If you have a business, you have a website, but you have no Google SEO, why don't you? People are going to look for answers on the internet. You have to be the first one to show up. And that's why I think building any sort of awareness on the internet is a zero-sum game where you have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
True. And you're 100% right. Like you don't even have to, you just can document your day-to-day work. You don't even
Simple
have to create
stuff.
content.
Yeah, simple
Just
stuff.
whatever you're doing, film it. And also at the same time, I think that if you can literally make content. Like I know that some people, they watch the show, like TV show Friends, and they're fans of it, and then they make a show just talking about Friends episodes, you know?
And you get fans from just being a fan. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, all these fan club channels, there's so many of them. All right, man.